I followed a few minutes later, but I was distracted by a persistent bird sound coming from these ferns.
The beeping when it's solid is where the laser is hitting right in the middle of the detector.
As some of you know, under this plastic is our Pacific Yurt in 10 crates that we picked up from the freight center. But it can't go up until there's a platform for it. So that project is beginning today. Under the tarp on the borrowed flatbed trailer, we have some bags of concrete, and those are going to be used today to make the first 5 footings of 25 that will go under the yurt itself. There will be 22 more under the deck that surrounds the yurt. The first 5 piers will be right in line with where I'm standing. I'm at the edge of the future yurt, looking straight across the middle. The white PVC pipe is the sewer drain where it comes into the future bathroom. The green PVC pipe is the sleeve for the water that will be pumped in from the cisterns. And you may remember that a few weeks ago, we pulled a string to measure how much electrical wire we will need to reach the yurt from the solar equipment shed. If you watched the early stages of work on the solar array, you may remember that digging a hole on our property is very unpredictable. In the deepest holes, we can pour a typical concrete footing to hold a pier in place. In the shallow holes, or in this case, directly on top of the bedrock, Charles is using a hammer drill and a mallet to put rebar through the bedrock before pouring concrete around it. And this extra wide hole is the center pier.
So I'm trying to make the concrete a little more beefy here.
Well, that's 5 footings down and 20 more to go. The day after pouring the first 5 footings, Charles marked the spots for the piers that will sit on top of them. Then he came back later in the afternoon to mark spots to dig 12 more holes. I followed a few minutes later, but I was distracted by a persistent bird sound coming from these ferns. All I had with me was my iPhone, so I retrieved my real camera and waited patiently to see what the parents might look like. It turned out this little guy is the offspring of my favorite backyard bird, the indigo bunting. I didn't get a clear picture of the father on this occasion, but I was lucky and the fledgling moved to a new spot where the mother could feed it right in front of the camera.
The beeping when it's solid is where the laser is hitting right in the middle of the detector. So what I'm trying to do is line this laser up with the lines we already have on the pedestal.
The next morning, Charles dug 12 more holes, and he was pleased to find that most of them were shallow. We like shallow holes because they require less effort, less time, and less concrete. I'm paying attention to you, Raven. When the afternoon shade reached the holes, we returned to pour more footings. That's now 17 down and 8 to go. And if you're wondering about the other 22 piers that will support the deck around the yurt, fortunately, they won't require holes and footings. Well, it's 7:30 in the morning and right on schedule. The pile of work truck came and left us a mountain. Well, I hope you've been able to see what Charles is doing over there in the time lapse with the wheelbarrow filling in that corner by the foam. Once that gets built up enough, it will be possible to put in the plumbing for the pump and then get it out of our way. And then what I have been doing over here might not look as obvious. I've been building out our ledge, and I just wanted to show you the technique I've been using because I'm sure it looks very funny in the time lapse. I put some sand on the edge and then I deliberately walk on the edge, which I have been told not to do for months. Don't walk on the edge of the sand, you'll mess it up. Well, here I've been walking on the edge and then filling my footprints with more sand. We appreciate you joining us for this next step in our adventure, and I don't think we've had a chat to catch up with you in quite a while, so we will plan to do that in our next episode.